Hi, everybody. Kathy Tooley, CEO, Tools for Success. Thanks for joining us for curtain number 9. Today, I want to hit a topic that, boy, has just personally really impacted me. And this one is called Teachers and Their Training. Okay? I want you to get clear about what I mean by their training. And what I mean by that is what schooling, what experience it took for them to be standing in front of the classroom where your child is sitting. Okay, so let's talk about that. Most teachers require a bachelor's degree in most states, and they require a state license. In order to get that bachelor's degree, you're going to attend 4 years of a university, and your last, it varies. I've seen student teaching as little as 8 weeks, as long as a semester, where they're going to go to a school and they're going to actually teach that which they have now got a license to get. I went through many of those college universities, and I also have 3 children who have married children who are educators. So I have 3 children who have married their spouses who are all educators. I have also hired a myriad of teachers who have come straight out of college. Raw, right out of college. The only experience they have is what student teaching experience they have. So let me just say this. Oy vey. Oy vey. I have sat across the table with teachers that I hire fresh out of college. I'm not talking any experience aside from what they received from their university or college. And it is, it is tough. It's tough. These kids, I call them that now because I'm getting older. These kids have invested a ton of money and are so excited to jump into a field that they are excited to be a part of. And they are about as ready to go be in that field as I am to open somebody up today surgically. You do not want me to do that. They have, what they know about classroom management is a little assignment that they did in college where they made up some classroom management rules, if they did that at all. What they know about state standards is an overall view that they might have heard maybe in a class. What they know about engagement strategies is virtually nothing. What they know about how to differentiate instruction, and what I mean by that is, how do I work with this group of students who get it while also working with this group of students who don't, is minimal, if anything at all. They've heard the words. They know the definitions. They can tell me out of their mouth what it's supposed to look like, but they have no flipping clue of how to do it. And it doesn't matter. There were some colleges and universities that I hired students from that were more prepared than others. Others, when I saw the resume come across, some colleges and universities, I flat would not even interview them. And I'm going to be honest with you. Most principals won't tell you that, but I will. So why, right? Your logical question is, but why? They went to 4 years of college. I'll tell you why. Ready? For those of you that are college professors, if this ruffles your feathers, I'm going to be honest with you, I don't care. Many people that are teaching teachers how to teach have never spent a day in a classroom outside of a college classroom. I know some of you were like, for real? Yes, for real. They are college professors. They have never spent a day as a principal. They've never been a second grade teacher. They've never sat in a public school system or a private, and even so much as written a lesson plan, yet they are telling people how to write them. People that are teaching teachers how to teach have never taught, except for a college classroom. I have taught many, many years, so I have experience on how to tell somebody how to teach. But people that are teaching people how to teach have never taught, except for a college classroom. I want to read a couple things to you from my book. First, let me begin with the fact that when it comes to training teachers to teach, we have an outdated, antiquated system throughout most of the United States. The fact is that colleges are still preparing teachers in the same way they did 30 years ago. They're preparing teachers for a classroom that doesn't exist. Why? Because they've never been in the classroom. And if they have,
it was 10, 20 years ago. Those kids in that classroom doesn't exist. I want to read you a couple of other excerpts. As a boss, hiring those teachers, I witnessed the utter disappointment in new teachers' eyes when they realized that they had just spent the past 4 years and a ton of money to know they are not prepared for tomorrow, let alone getting through the remainder of the day. There was an exorbitant amount of time needed to get new teachers to where they really needed to be in order to be effective educators. And I, as an administrator, often lacked that time. I also knew that more time was needed than simply existed as a day. And as a human being, I felt sick. Because they're looking at me as their boss, realizing that the past 4 years was an effort in jumping hoops, not preparing them to do what they need to do today, tomorrow, the rest of the semester. Let me read on. The realization came while looking in the eyes of a fellow educator and realizing that this may break them, and that we as a society will lose yet another great educator due to their lack of training and resources. Knowing that these young, new, vibrant, excited teachers came to the realization that the income that they are making will barely cover the cost of their student loans, let alone the cost of their living, administrators listen. Sometimes all that can be done is to comfort them, cry a little bit, and know deep down that this could have all been avoided with the proper training. Early on in some teachers' careers, there are many opportunities to learn some of the same lessons from the college, not on the job. And here's the last point I want to make. There are those of you thinking right now, well, isn't that true of any profession? Really, Kathy? Every career gets better the more you do it, right? Isn't that true? Why should teaching be any different? My response is this. Well, yes, of course that's true. But we're not any just field. We're not a field that can make mistakes that can be afforded while waiting for a teacher to get better. Perhaps the question is this that will quell those of you that just think we need to allow teachers to be ill-trained and get better with time. Whose child are you willing to sacrifice in the ill-equipped teacher's classroom? Yours? Is that okay if that's your son or daughter? You still asking the question? Probably not. Probably not. We don't have the time. A child gets one shot at first grade. They get one shot at Algebra 1. They get one shot at 5th grade, etc., etc., etc. And that ill-prepared teacher, not of their own fault, but of our current system, you okay that that's your child sitting in that room? I'm not. Yet first-year teachers have a right to teach as much as anyone else does. But what has to happen is their training has to be better. Why aren't we getting teachers in the classroom from day one? Why don't we have them teaching from day one? Why don't we have them researching state standards, writing rigorous assessments, utilizing standards? I know that in my own college experience, early on I went to schools and I observed. That's all I did. I wrote out what teachers were doing and turned it in to check off an assignment. My hands weren't dirty. I wasn't touching anything. I was not in the trenches. I wasn't allowed to do that until I was student teaching. And even then, that was 10 weeks. 10 weeks. 10 weeks. I want you to imagine that the doctor that you go to today that's going to perform your appendectomy literally just heard it from a classroom and sits to you and goes, well, this is how they say they make a cut. Let's go. Let's go. Can you imagine? Would you let them operate on you? Of course you wouldn't. I want you to imagine you hire an attorney because you've been in an accident, really bad car accident. And he says, you know, I've never really done a car accident. Let's see how this goes. You hiring him? Of course you wouldn't. But I'm going to hire those young teachers because they're the best. They're so excited about learning. But if I don't provide them the supports that their university didn't, how in God's green earth can I ever expect them to get better? So once again, the responsibility falls to the administrators. And if you've watched a few videos previously and talked about curtains of the administrators, that's the educational leadership that they don't have time for. And so what happens is amazing, powerful, incredible, outstanding, young, vibrant, ready to teach, born to made teachers flee this. Even if you sit on a factory line and replicate the same thing over and over, you've got a supervisor that watches you do it. And I'm not saying that's a less important job. That's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is, I remember hiring my teachers, and I took them upstairs to their classroom, and I handed them their keys, and I showed them where their desk was, and was kind of a, good luck. And I just prayed, because I knew they weren't prepared. So my question to you on this video is, how does that sound to you? Because if you've got and this is not trash talking brand new teachers, I was a brand new teacher. The difference is I was very, very blessed that my school district believed in mentorship, whether it was paid or not. And they forced me to be under the mentorship of another educator. Some states are doing that, but many states are not. It's a money issue often, but it doesn't have to be. Why aren't we getting them out in the field often and early? Why aren't we providing them the supports that ought to be paid? Why aren't we offering them those kind of supports? I don't know. It's a question I'm going to ask you. So as I wrap this curtain up, those of you that are in higher education, I know you just got really upset and said, not in my classroom. I teach them all kind of pedagogy. You know what? I want to say this to you, and I want you to hear me loud and clear. You're graduating students with a mouthful of pedagogy and zero practical experience. I don't need their pedagogy. I need their practicality. A student doesn't need to understand why William Shakespeare is important. A student needs to understand how to teach William Shakespeare. Give them that. Get off your laurels and give them what they need. Thank you for listening to this curtain. Thank you for always being a part of this. Please hit the subscribe button, the like button. Hit that little button that alert you when we're going to put more videos up. Share it if you think it's somebody would benefit someone to hear it. Remember, the goal of each and every one of these videos is to start a conversation, not to make an attack. Thank you as always for what you do every day, and have a fantastic day.